Good morning, all. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Had a couple of technical difficulties. Thank you, Miss Annie Moyer. Saved the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let me know if you're here. I need just a moment to breathe, take deep breaths. Okay, so it's about 10 o'clock. We'll give it another minute or so. Let me know if you're here. Give a shout out if you're here. Welcome to Sun and Moon Yoga YouTube channel. We're here live every weekday morning from 10 to 10:30. I'm Jennifer Eubank and I'm here on Fridays. And we'll go ahead and get started. Today, you really only need a block. And you actually don't even have to have that if you don't want. You're gonna have a light and easy, kind of breezy practice this morning. I'm not sure if you saw the title, Fly Like an Eagle. So, as we give it another minute, I'll tell you a little bit about the title of today's lesson. I don't know which came first, the idea to use that title for this. Good morning, Catherine. I don't know which came first, the seed for the title of the song for this for today's iteration, or the fly on Mike Pence's head. So it might be a coincidence, it might not be, who knows. All the days and the hours are kind of running together with COVID-19, so, yeah. I came up with the title because I've been working on my website for a few weeks. Thank you, Joel Trailer. And I just launched my website yesterday, jennifereubank.com. And I started with the blog post about resilience because, as I've shared in the past few weeks and months, I've had quite a time in the past few years, and I'm really starting to feel settled, and I'm at the same time feeling free, like a bird. Fly like an eagle, and that song just came to mind as I was writing my posts and thinking about soaring through the skies. And you might think today's practice will culminate into eagle pose, but it's not, because I find eagle a tad confining, and we will make our way towards a pose called star pose, a little lesser known yoga pose. And it's a really nice pose to spread your wings and soar like an eagle, fly like an eagle. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put down my block. We'll come back to that in a moment. We're starting in a standing position, and get comfy, and feet on the floor. I'm going to go and see a couple of people just popped in. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning. I missed the two others popped in. Good morning. Hello, hello. So we're starting in a standing position, kind of a casual mountain. Let's bring the feet a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. And root your feet and shake your knees and bend your knees, go back and forth a few times. Really ground into the floor, root into the floor. And then stop that motion and find the three corners of your feet. The heel, the base of the big toe, and the base of the pinky toe. And put equal pressure in all three of those points. And that allows you to lift the arches on the inside edges of the feet, so you're not caving into the insides, nor are you caving out towards the outside. Supinating and pronating, if you want to get technical. We want to keep things nice and evenly rooted. And that strengthens and evens out the legs, evens out and stabilizes the hips and the knees. And we'll keep the knees soft. And we'll start with the little twisty motion. And simply go back and forth lightly with the arms down by the sides. These are called maypoles. Very simple movement. We may even have done these before together. We'll keep going, and as you progress, notice the belly and the core starting to get a little stronger, your midline, your maypole, and as your maypole gets stronger, the arms come up a little bit higher. Your arms are ribbons, the maypole ribbons flying freely in the air. And as I continue to go, my arms go up higher and higher. But I stay good and rooted in my feet, nice and grounded. Knees are soft. There might be a couple of times when you want to bend your knees back and forth. And you can start to come down. And then maybe go back up again. Maybe you're not quite ready. Find that freedom by rooting into the floor with those feet. And rooting into the strength of your legs. And rooting into the strength of the midline of your body. Belly drawn in. Chest is lifted. Your torso muscles, all those muscles all along the spine are engaged to keep you erect, keep you safe. Muscles in the ribs working, those intercostals. Maybe you can feel those serratus anterior on the sides we talked about a few weeks ago. Maybe you can feel the thigh muscles and the butt muscles. Maybe you can feel all of these muscles working together to keep you good and stable as you find that freedom to twist back and forth. Arms just flying, soaring in the air. And you eventually come back down bit by bit, slowly but surely. Maybe your eyes are closed at this point. And we'll finish real tiny. Just a little bit of a breeze bringing us from side to side. And those feet are still stable. Those three corners in our feet are still rooted. And as you come back to center, take a few breaths to notice and draw your attention to your physique and the results of that little sequence. How do you feel? Do you feel a little stronger and a little bit looser at the same time? Maybe you need a little bit of movement. Maypoles. Okay, so this next move, feet are still hip-width distance apart, maybe a little bit more, you decide. And as you learn and progress with this sequence, you might want to turn your feet out a little bit and go a little bit wider. You decide. The main thing is that the feet are good and rooted the whole time. They're grounded, giving your legs strength on the inside and as well as the outside, and draw that energy up into your belly, up into your chest, out through the crown of your head. But find that looseness. These are, I don't know what these are called. I learned these from Ann Jablonski. I call them ha-has, and you'll see why in a moment. But get good and strong, and then as you're ready, we lift our arms up. Chest is lifted to help us to do that, and then we just let loose and let it go. And that's why you want those feet good and strong and legs good and strong, and lift up again. Legs are strong, belly as strong as you lift up, and then you just let it go again. And keep doing that a few more times. Maybe you need to change something in the feet. And we'll start to get bigger and bolder as we get used to this. Inhale as you lift up, and exhale as you come down. And as you get stronger, let's start to get a little bit more emphatic with those exhales. Maybe even let it out with the mouth. Rooting into the floor. Legs are strong. Knees are soft. Belly is strong. Shoulders and elbows are soft. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you let it go. Let it go. Maybe get more emphatic. These are a little bit different from what Ann does. This is why I call them ha-has. Also, we used to call my grandfather ha-ha. Ha-ha shank. So I'm reminded of my roots, and that keeps me nice and grounded and rooted as I let it go. Feel safe. One more time. And as you make your way back up, maybe you have a couple more, so feel free to continue with those, but I'm starting to feel a little dizzy. So I'm going to hang back. And as you come back up, you know, if you need to pick up your feet a little bit, bend the knees, do what you need to do. Maybe do a couple more of those maypoles. I don't know what you want to do. Settle in to a casual mountain, and then let's heel toe into a mountain. So the feet are under the knees, and knees are under those hip joints, and the hip joints are under the shoulders. Draw that energy from the feet. Root your feet and find those three corners. Lifting the arches, but not caving on the outside edges of your feet. Drawing that energy up the legs, but the knees are soft. And it goes right into the belly, up through the chest. Shoulders are soft. Head is lifted. Chin and neck are soft. Rooting into the ground as we soar up towards the sky in our mountain pose. And then from here, let's do a few downward facing dogs to get our bodies nice and strong for our final pose. So you can, actually, you know what, let's do a couple, I want to do some lunges. I forgot. I asked you to get the block. I forgot about our lunges. Spoiler alert, once again. All right, so we're going to go wide with the feet, and you don't have to have the block. You can put the block in the middle if you have one, and it's my feet and my block are on the mat. And once again, you don't have to have a block. I'll show you how we introduce that block in just a moment. If you don't, just go wide on your mat and find those three corners of your feet so that you're not caving into either edge of the foot. Both sides of your legs are good and strong. Knees are soft. Maybe have the hands on the hips and start to bend one knee and lunge to that side and then the other. And as you go back and forth, keep those three corners in your feet evenly rooted. So to do that, maybe you're like, oh, you know what, I need to bring my toes out a little bit. Maybe you need to change something in how those feet are pointing. Just make sure that your knees don't go way past your feet. You should always be able to see your feet the whole time. If you can't, you're starting to go a little too far and a little dangerous on those knees. Land in your heels. As you land in your heels, as you go from side to side, you'll feel the back of the legs more, you'll feel the quads more, you'll feel the butt more, and less strain in those knees and ankles. And maybe you're starting to go deeper and further. And if you have that block, you can always do this version and come down and bring the hands on the block and get down and do some deeper lunges. So if you have a block, maybe you're already doing this version, maybe you're still up, it doesn't matter. Just notice, are you going a little stronger, a little deeper, things starting to make a little bit more sense, things starting to open up a little bit more. Make sure that you're landing in the heel each time as you go back and forth. It's a really nice way to stretch out those hamstrings. I love these to get us ready for our downward facing dogs and also for our final balance pose that we'll be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and lift up and finish with this version. And we'll do a few more rounds. So if you'd like to lift up and finish in this version, you can do that, or you can stay on that block. Try to keep the hips even and level the whole time you do this. So notice that my hips aren't, I'm going to not want like this and bringing one hip up and then one hip down. I'm keeping those hips pretty level as I go back and forth. I've got that even horizontal line from point to point. Let's go a few more rounds, ensuring that we've got those lines now that I've brought it up. And we'll finish up. So as we finish up, start to make them a little bit smaller, less range of motion, maybe a little bit slower. And we'll end back in the center. And as you end back in the center, maybe heel toe the feet in just a little bit, but just enough so that you can maintain good, strong legs, evenly rooted feet. Draw the belly in, lift your sternum. So find a good, wide-legged mountain pose. And feel the effects of those side lunges. Soften your knees and your shoulders and your face. And then as you're ready, keep the feet on the floor and see if you can just heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. So the feet are always rooted as you make, there's always some kind of contact between the feet and the floor as you make your way back. That's a lot less stressful on the hips, and that also means that you're using the muscles evenly in the legs and in the torso to bring your legs back, rather than, I'll show you the way that I am not real thrilled to see people do this. So if you can come back evenly and quietly with some contact with the floor, my feeling is that you land in a much more well-aligned, rooted mountain pose. Take a few breaths settling into your mountain, rooting into the feet, drawing that energy up into the legs, into the belly. Draw that belly in, chest is lifted. Feel that height soaring up way overhead, out of the crown of your head. But your shoulders and your knees are soft. Hips and shoulders are level. Face is quiet. Breath is quiet. And now, let's do some downward facing dogs. Let's do about 2 minutes of downward facing dogs, maybe 3, maybe even 4. We'll see how time flies when you're having fun. I have to work in those fly jokes. Okay, so you can come into your downward facing dog whichever way you want. So if you're new to yoga, you might just want to come down on your hands and knees and find a table pose. And then from table, you can bring those hands forward and lift up into your downward facing dog. If you're not so new to yoga, you've probably already found your way into a dog. You can use a sun salutation, some semblance of a sun salutation. It can be active, it can be quiet. And we'll spend Couple more minutes in our dogs. Try not to go to your 100% right away. Put a little bit of movement into it. But as you put movement into it, keep those hips level, especially if you walk your dog. So if you bend one knee and then the other, it's really important that you keep those hips pretty even. And you know, our theme today is soaring and flying like an eagle. So with that being said, I am working in some three-legged dogs. So I'll take about another 5-10 breaths to find a good strong dog. Because I really like to find, and you don't have to do a three-legged dog if you don't want to. You can stick with your regular downward dog. You can go from dog to plank, back and forth. You can work on building some core muscles and those leg muscles. And anytime you want to rest, you can come into a table, a puppy, or a child's, or all of the above. And I just learned this version of down dogs, three-legged dogs from Annie. You come into a downward dog, and then you bring one foot in the middle. So you're making kind of like a T. Your foot is in the middle of the two hands, and then you lift the other leg up. And maybe stay there with the hips facing the floor, or maybe you open out the fire hydrant dog, i.e. you feel a lot of freedom and soaring. Lots of fun in that version. And if you do three-legged dog, make sure you do both sides. I'm going to go ahead and go right for it. So now my other foot comes in the middle. I make that T. Ooh, this is such a nice way of doing a three-legged dog. I love it. So thankful for Annie teaching it to me, because it makes my hips feel so stable and level and in control. So as I fly up and soar, there's a sense of freedom that's safe. Safe freedom. So let's spend about 10 more breaths in whatever version of dog you've got going. And then when you're ready, come down into whatever rest position you want. You know, and maybe rest means a little bit of wiggling in a table position. Rest doesn't necessarily have to mean stillness. You find your rest the way that's going to work for you. And then what we'll do is we'll make our way back up into a standing position. Perhaps you'd like to use a down dog to do that. You can walk those feet in and the hands in. Maybe you hop forward. I go bit by bit. I spend a little time in my half forward fold, making sure that I've got some good lines here. And then when I'm good and ready, when I'm good and grounded in the feet and in my belly, I lift up back into a standing position. Bit by bit helps my nervous system. Sometimes if I get up too fast, I get a little dizzy and feel sick, off kilter. So I want to come up safely. And then I want you to come up safely as well. So what I say, I hope you're learning from my experiences. So now that we're back up, let's do one last pose, and it's called star pose. And again, I don't think it's a conventional yoga pose. I didn't even learn it in a yoga class. And it's a lot like half moon and triangle. And I'll show you briefly. I'll make this my standing leg, so I make it good and strong, and I draw my belly in, and I integrate those two powers. I find that symbiotic relationship between the lower half and the upper half. And then that makes my leg lift up this leg lighter so I can lift this leg up, and I bring my arms out. And I keep my head in line with my spine. And I'm making kind of a 5-pointed star here. So that's the pose. Now, you might want to just try and lift right up into that. Maybe you're a real strong yogi or yogini and you can just spring up into it. But if you need a little bit more prep work, here's a fun way that I do to find my balance. I start real simply with stork. And I'll make this my standing leg again, draw my belly in, integrate those two forces. My body is strong, and it's helping me to lift this leg up. And that keeps those joints level and soft and light and breezy. And as I keep the legs strong, I hug the midline of the legs, I hug the midline of my spine, and I start to branch out. Ooh. And I find a little bit more freedom, and I turn that stork into my star. So, you find your way. What do you want to do? And make sure, I've been on one leg the whole time, so now I'm going to go over here and do some stork on this side. Find my balance, rooting into the floor, rising up, finding the expansion in my body, finding that teamwork between the bottom and the upper half, and I'm able to soar like an eagle. Find that expansion, that freedom of movement, that freedom of space, liberating. Let's go about another minute exploring our star poses. Remember to do both sides evenly. If you want to put a little emphasis like we did in our ha-has, I teach kids, and they love to, this is their favorite pose, by the way, this and half moon. Ta-da! You can put your ta-da into it. Look, Mom, no hands. Or you can put in your fly hands. Little Jeff Goldblum fly hands, help me. I had to work Mr. Pence in again. Bless his heart. He's never going to live that one down. Speaking of living things down, let's make our way back down to 2 feet. So if you need to even things out, make sure that you did both sides evenly and spend a little time just walking about, picking both feet up, finding that evenness and that balance with movement. Wriggle it out. Let's do a few more maypoles. Bring your feet a little bit wide, and let's settle down with some maypoles. Find that evenness and that symmetry as we go back and forth in and out of symmetry. Find that center line, your spine from your tailbone all the way up to the neck and out through the crown of your head. Hug that midline and come back to stillness as you're ready. And as you come back to stillness, stay with a couple of breaths with the feet wide, and then heel toe them into a more traditional mountain pose. And find your mountain lines. Find the strength that the feet and legs give the upper body. Just stand up tall and soar up to the sky, but with a sense of softness. No rigidity. We want strong, not stiff. Maybe close the eyes for a couple of breaths. And even out your breath. Inhales last as long as the exhales for a few rounds. And then make the exhale last a little bit longer than the inhale for a few rounds. Nothing major, just a slight difference. And check in with your physique. Still strong, still light as you open your eyes. Keep the belly drawn in, your heart lifted as you bring your hands to heart level. And we'll finish with a mudra. Cross the hands, face them towards you, and intertwine those thumbs. This is the Eagle Garuda Mudra. Fly like an eagle. And as you hold this mudra, does it bring a sense of height and expansion to your physique and to your emotions? Mudras are sneaky. I love them. Garuda Mudra. Garuda means eagle. So I hope you find your flying, soaring spirit this weekend. It's difficult to do in these challenging times, but the weather is beautiful. And thank you for being here. Again, I'm Jennifer Eubank. I'm here every Friday, 10 to 10:30. Sun and Moon is here every weekday morning from 10 to 10:30. A lot of different wonderful teachers. And have a great weekend. Thank you for being here. And check out my website, jennifereubank.com. I'm so proud of it. So very proud. Thank you, Sun and Moon, for everything you've done to make this possible. Have a great one. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, thank you. Let's see who else is here. Betsy, Greg. Hi, Frank. I'm glad. Those maypoles are really nice. They're very effective. I love maypoles. Ooh, there's kind of a glare here. Uh-oh. Wish I noticed that in the beginning. Sorry, people. Linda. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. Good to see you. I'm sorry my technical difficulties sidetracked me. I didn't notice this awful glare. I hope it's okay. Oh, good. Thank you, Betsy. Betsy says no glare. Are you sure about that? Betsy, I love you. It's so good to see you. I miss seeing you in person, dear. What a great spirit. Talking about a free spirit. All right, people. Have a great weekend. I'm signing off.